Military marriage in the era, tearing the original text of male and female leaders, family secrets and shortcomings, group pets, leading villagers to wealth, both male and female leaders speak up, Jiang Muyao is wearing a book. At the beginning, I thought I was just an old lady, raising my 3 brothers who were starving for their parents. As a result, the original owner sent a shopping mall gold finger that could be traded and stored, and the younger brother was all sister-controlled, so fragrant. Raising chickens, rabbits, fruit trees, medicinal herbs. Our main focus is on being a wealthy village that relies on mountains and eats mountains, rooted in rural areas. The Spring Breeze Brigade has become well-known far and wide, and has even been published in newspapers. So, all the younger brothers made a name for themselves. I'm sorry that my original male and female protagonists received retribution. Captain Uncle was promoted, and we Yao Yao became a group favorite. As for men, they naturally caught it themselves from the lake, and it's even more exciting. Yanli. Every time someone asks him how he got to know his wife, he covers his face, hmm. It's not an exaggeration to say that someone has been nagging me for a lifetime. Female lead. She has a strong inner strength and stable emotions. If others are afraid of her, she will be afraid of her. If others are afraid of her, she will be afraid of her. Male lead. People don't speak too much harshly, but their inner activities are rich, and they are too different from their predecessors, with a sullen and coquettish nature. Chapter 1. Familiar names. You are listening at novelfull.audio. April 28, 1965, cloudy. In Hejiang City, northeast China, the Spring Breeze Brigade of Jupingshan Commune is located in a rural courtyard. Sister, I want to eat chicken stewed with mushrooms. The girl sitting in the yard sewing pants replied without looking up, I see you're like a little chicken stewing mushrooms. Do you have a big mouth to eat? Upon hearing this, the 7 or 8-year-old boy who had just run in from outside the yard collapsed his mouth and his face was filled with expected disappointment. As soon as he finished speaking, a boy carrying a bundle of firewood walked in behind him. At first glance, the 2 people were exactly the same. His voice remained much more calm, Sister, we're back. Jiang Muyao looked up at her twin brothers and showed a faint smile. The tone of the response was much gentler than before, okay, go wash your hands and get ready to eat. The boy nodded and walked towards the firewood shed, shouting to his younger brother beside him, Jingyang, don't be naughty. Jingyang snorted lightly but did not speak. But he took a faster step and carried the firewood to the front of Jiang Jingyu. Behind her, Jiang Muyao looked at the backs of the 2 brothers and let out a silent sigh. In fact, she is a traveler. 2 days ago, it was her 26th birthday and she had a big party with her friends at home. After losing consciousness, I woke up and arrived at this home. Now is the year 1965 in China. The place where the original owner grew up is a small mountain village in the northeast called Chunfeng Brigade. She is 15 years old this year, and has 3 younger brothers. Her second brother, Jiang Jingshu, is 13 years old this year. The third younger brother Jiang Jingyu and the fourth younger brother Jiang Jingyang are twins, who are 8 years old this year. In the era without family planning, having 4 children in a family was a common occurrence. Even some families have 5 or 6 children and 10 children, which is not without them. Unfortunately, both of their parents are gone. Jiang's father came to work when he was young, and he got a job in a transportation team in the county town. Many people in the team were envious of him. The world is unpredictable. 2 years ago, on a journey to the south to transport goods, we encountered bandits who robbed us, and none of the members of the convoy returned. Jiang's mother walked earlier and lost her body when giving birth to twins. When the 2 brothers were 3 years old, they fell seriously ill again. In addition, it was a time of great famine and there was no food to eat, let alone medical treatment. Before it could be taken to the hospital, there was no one left. As for the original owner, after her mother's death, her elder sister became like her mother. As she was originally studying at school, she had to drop out of school and take on the responsibility of taking care of her younger brother. When the bad news of my father's death came, I couldn't bear the blow and was bedridden several times. Perhaps it was because I couldn't let go of my young brothers in my heart that I gritted my teeth and persevered time and time again. But ultimately, my physical foundation is too poor, and my heart has been filled with depression for a long time. A few nights ago, I had a high fever. When I opened my eyes again, the soul of this body turned into Jiang Muyao, who had traveled through the 21st century. Two people with the same name and surname, it is a fate that transcends time and space and cannot be described. Standing in the yard, Jiang Muyao frowned, and to be honest, she couldn't accept it when she first learned about her journey. Because in modern life, she can be summarized in 2 words. Carefree. There are more than 10 houses for rent in second-tier cities. After graduating from university, I worked for 2 years and experienced society before resigning and returning home to collect rent. My parents are retired civil servants, and they have been traveling outside since retirement. Usually, I only come back during the Chinese New Year and my family reunites. But this does not affect the feelings of their family, warm and harmonious. Now that she's dead, the only parents of her child, I don't know how sad she should be. Every time she thought of this, Jiang Muyao would scold the thief, why should she travel through time? Especially, we have to raise 3 half-grown children without parents. What's the difference between this and being an old mother? The dull pain in my heart came again, and I don't know whether it's more sadness or more anger. Jiang Muyao caressed her chest, and a boy in his teens walked into the courtyard door. It was Jiang Jingshu, who had just returned from underground work. In my memory, the gentle and jade-like young boy became black and thin at some point, even his spine slightly curved. But he smiled, revealing his white teeth. Walking towards Jiang Muyao, holding something in his hands, he handed it forward. "Sister, I picked some mountain pickles on the way back. They're sweet, here you go." Shanpotzi is a wild raspberry that is produced from April to June every year. As an only child in her past life, Jiang Muyao did not feel any brotherhood. In modern times, most families are one child. Relatives usually have less interaction, and children may not be too familiar with each other. So, Jiang Muyao felt a bit uneasy about Jiang Jingshu's closeness. However, she didn't dare to reveal her true feelings at the moment. Following the image of the original owner in her memory, she pushed Jiang Jingshu's hand. "Sister won't eat, you can eat with Jingyu and the others," she gently declined. Actually, she really wants to eat something. This wild fruit, with its original flavor, has not appeared in front of her for many years. But since the death of his parents, the original owner has been saving anything to eat or drink for his younger brothers. She hasn't figured out where to go yet and can't ruin her character. Jiang Jingshu knew his sister would say that, and without much entanglement, he went to the well holding the mountain pudding. Prepare to wash it clean and share it with everyone later. Nowadays, most people haven't had enough to eat, so it's really not easy to have such a small snack to change their taste. Half an hour later, the 4 siblings sat around a square Kong table. Cross-legged, sitting 2 on one side. At the beginning, Jiang Muyao was very uncomfortable. Because she was not from northeast China in her past life, but a genuine southern girl. Fortunately, the original owner has memories, and she is not foolish. She constantly reminds herself, but she doesn't see anything abrupt. On the table, there is a small basket of mantu made of 3 kinds of flour, that is, mantu made of white flour, corn flour and soybean flour. The size of an adult man's fist is about 7 or 8, and he is steaming hot. Next to it is a pot of stewed cabbage. A few scattered oil dots float in the vegetable soup. Jiang Muyao took a breath and said, "Let's eat." Each of the 4 took a mantu and started. Mantu tastes a bit rough and caresses its tongue, but it is soft and easy to chew. Jiang Muyao has never eaten this kind of mantu before, but when in Rome, do as the Romans do. They are lucky to have a good father who made a lot of money for their family when they were alive. After death, he left a pension for the children, which allowed the 4 children without parents to live well. Some families can only eat wild vegetables on the mountain during this green and yellow season. People should be content. The 3.5 young boys buried their heads in delicious food and didn't even bother talking. They looked hungry and anxious. After eating a whole mantou, Jiang Jingyang, the most lively person in the family, said, "Sister, do you know that today the educated youth came to the brigade again?" After traveling for the past 2 or 3 days, Jiang Muyao was afraid of not being able to react to people when she went out, so she never went out. Moreover, she needs more time at home to sort out the memories of the original owner. Another consideration is whether I will accept my fate and stay to raise these offspring. Shake your head, still waiting for an answer. Jiang Jingyu knocked on Jiang Jingyang's head next to him, but couldn't help but say, "You stick hammer, sister hasn't gone out, where did you know?" Jiang Jingyang snorted and wanted to fight back, but Jiang Muyao quickly said, "Jingyang, tell me, how many educated youth have come this time?" Boys are just making a fuss, especially when there are 3 at home, sometimes causing Jiang Muyao's forehead to jump and ache. She had to digress from the topic. As expected, Jiang Jingyang's attention was diverted. Looking back at Jiang Muyao, he replied, "There are 5 of them, including a female educated youth who is very beautiful." Jiang Jingshu chuckled helplessly and took the conversation, "How beautiful?" Jiang Jingyang frowned and tilted his head for a while before replying, "That skin is even whiter than the snow on the mountain. By the way, the name sounds really nice, it's Yan Man Man. Our village is full of flowers and plants, so it doesn't have much meaning." Yan Man Man. Upon hearing this familiar name, Jiang Muyao's heart skipped a beat. Chapter 2. Blaming the author. You are listening at novelfull.audio. God has a long face. After silently reciting the name 3 times in her heart, Jiang Muyao suddenly turned her head to look at Jiang Jingshu and asked, "What is the date of the month today?" Jiang Jingshu hesitated for a second before replying, "April 28th. April 28, 1965. Spring Breeze Brigade, educated youth, Yan Man Man, Jiang Muyao, Jiang Jingshu, all the keywords have been reviewed in Jiang Muyao's mind. Half of her mantou fell on the Kong table and rolled onto the Kong below her. The remaining 2 points of reason drove her to stand up. "I'll go to the restroom, you guys eat first." Leaving behind this sentence, she hurriedly got off the Kong and rushed out without even putting on her shoes. Behind him, one could vaguely hear Jiang Jingyang's question, "What's wrong with you, sister?" Rushing outside the door, the cold air in the yard made Jiang Muyao's mind even clearer. She is Jiang Muyao. How familiar this name is. A month before her travels, she read a Time magazine called Little Wife of the 60s Educated Youth. Inside, there is a female supporting character who is played around by the male and female leads, with the same name and surname as her. Because her name is the same as herself, Jiang Muyao feels a bit self-absorbed when reading. So, take it very seriously. The original female protagonist is precisely named Yan Man Man. I am 18 years old this year and come from Shanghai. I am delicate and beautiful. In the early spring of 1965, I came to northeast China and became an educated youth. Everything is right. It's only her fault that her mind has been confused these past few days due to her travels, and she hasn't even reacted. Fortunately, the plot has just begun and has not had much impact. As is well known, the female protagonists in the era literature are mostly time-traveling or reborn. Yan Man Man is no exception, a beauty blogger from the 21st century who traveled here a month ago. The original owner of her body has a bad relationship with her family. As a traveler, Yan Man Man did not disappoint the readers, stole the family's savings, and turned around to sign up for going to the countryside. Jiang Muyao still remembers. The book depicts Yan Manman's arrival on the day of the Spring Breeze Brigade, where the sunset will never set and the orange light will sprinkle on the black soil. Her skin is like snow, and her appearance is beautiful, which has amazed many villagers who go to see the excitement. Afterwards, due to her beautiful appearance and gentle personality, she gained a lot of help. Everyone says that Yan Jiqing is beautiful, kind-hearted, and good. But no one knew that all of her cruelty was used on Jiang Muyao, the female supporting character who had the same crush on her. The original male lead, Ji Wenchuan. At this moment, I am also in the Spring Breeze Brigade. However, he is currently in a state of decline, being implicated by his family and sent to the countryside. He was originally the proud son of Kyoto, with a good family background and a handsome appearance. Joining the army at the age of 17 has a bright future ahead. My grandfather is a renowned traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, and my father is also a diplomat who returned from studying abroad. However, no one can resist the tide of the times. Due to the complex composition of the family, he was reported by someone with intentions. In order to avoid trouble, the family first arranged for him and Ji Fu to be dispersed in different places. And his grandfather, citing physical reasons, stayed in Kyoto to operate and fight for the opportunity for family reconciliation. Fate dictates. Let 3 young men and women, who would never have had any intersection in their lifetime, perform a scene of love, hate, and hatred in a small mountain village in a remote corner. Among the 3, 2 people won the pot and bowl. Only one person, losing completely, not only buried their own life, but also the lives of their family. Thinking of the plot in the book, Jiang Muyao felt her breathing stop for a few moments. Even the dull pain in my heart is stronger than thinking of my parents. Sister, it's cold outside. Let's go in and eat. Behind him, the gentle voice of the young man rang out. Jiang Muyao, who was in a daze, turned around, her eyes turning red as she looked at her concerned face. Jiang Jingshu. In the original text, the biggest villain. He. As long as they are against the male and female protagonists, both men and women are villains. After his sister was killed by the female lead Yan Manman, he fought back crazily and ultimately died at the hands of the male lead Ji Wenchuan. During this period, someone asked Jiang Jingshu, "Do you regret giving everything to avenge your sister?" How did Jiang Jingshu answer? "My older sister has given too much for the 3 of us brothers. She is the most important person in my life, Jiang Jingshu. I only hate my own weak strength and cannot strip the skin and cramp those dog men and women." In my memory, Jiang Jingshu was the eldest son of the family. After the successive deaths of their parents, their temperament became more stable and they took on their responsibilities as elder brothers. How much hatred should there be? Only then can one say words that cry with blood. A heavy coat draped over her shoulders, and Jiang Muyao suddenly regained her senses. She was wearing a single coat and stood outside for a long time. In early spring, it is still very cold in northeast China. She even felt her fingers stiff. However, she still pulled up a smile and shouted, "Jingshu." Jiang Jingshu hummed and took his sister's hand. "Sister, if you don't go in, those 2 guys will eat all the mantu." At this moment, Jiang Muyao surprisingly did not reject Jiang Jingshu's approach in her heart. Perhaps because she was too sorry for this young man who was willing to do anything for his sister. The siblings entered the room and helped Jiang Muyao sit down first. Jiang Jingshu then took off his shoes and went up to the Kong. Jiang Jingyu swallowed the cabbage in her mouth and said with concern, "Sister, what's wrong with you?" Jiang Jingyang followed and said, "Yes, sister, why did you use the restroom for so long and fall off the toilet?" As he spoke, he even sniffed hard, as if he was smelling something. Causing Jiang Jingyu to resist, he tapped him on the head again. Jiang Jingyang was so eager to fight back, but Jiang Jingshu lowered his face and scolded lightly, "Don't make any noise while eating." As soon as the elder brother spoke, the two brothers calmed down. After finishing the meal, without letting Jiang Muyao take action, Jiang Jingshu took the two brothers to tidy up the dishes. I went to the kitchen again to boil water, and the four siblings had to wash it at night. Although many people in the village take a shower once a winter, Jiang's mother loves cleanliness and needs to take a shower at least once a week. The four siblings raised have to wash their faces and feet even if they don't take a shower every day. As a girl, Jiang Muyao also needs to wash an extra part. This habit has indeed saved Jiang Muyao a lot of trouble. As a southerner, I used to take a shower almost every day, even in winter, I would take a shower every 2 to 3 days. If she doesn't take a shower all winter, she feels like she can suffer to death. After washing up, Jiang Muyao lay on her own separate kong, with her eyes wide open, looking at the roof. When Jiang's father was alive, the family conditions were still good. When we split up, we built 5 mud embryo houses. At the beginning, we built thatched houses, but later, with connections, we changed the tiles. I finally saved the trouble of having to change the thatch once a year or two. Before, the couple was still together. In winter, in order to save firewood, the whole family slept on the largest kong. The large kong in northeast China is a long bed, and sleeping for about 10 people is not a problem. But now that both husband and wife have passed away, Jiang Muyao, a girl who is almost getting married, is sleeping with her brothers again, which is too embarrassing. So, she slept alone on a small kong. This also conveniently provided Jiang Muyao, an outsider, with a private space of her own. She may know, why did she travel? Jiang Muyao raised her hand and wiped her face, probably 99% because she had scolded the author before. Yes, I am very indignant to say that the author's values are not correct. Why did the male and female protagonists write such a tragic ending about Jiang Muyao's love and kindness? What's up? Did someone surnamed Jiang dig the author's ancestral tomb? Okay. Now that I am traveling inexplicably, it is very likely that I have actually dug it. Who can say for sure? Chapter 3. The Golden Finger Comes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thinking about it, Jiang Muyao still couldn't resist the influence of the body's early to bed and early to rise biological clock, and fell into a deep sleep. Midnight. Jiang Muyao roared angrily, "Are you still finished?" She opened her eyes and looked into the void where she couldn't see her fingers. There seems to be a faint aura flowing. Now, Jiang Muyao is certain that the original owner has not left yet. Since she crossed over, whenever she closed her eyes and slept, she would dream either being pinched by someone's neck or hanging up and smoking. It's really enough. This added insult to injury to her already bad mood. Today, it completely erupted. She lowered her voice and warned the aura, "If you continue to dream like this night and make me restless, I will commit suicide, and we will all perish together." Inexplicably, she felt the aura tremble. After a moment, a gentle female voice rang out in Jiang Muyao's mind, "I have no ill intentions, I just want to ask you something." Being disturbed to sleep, Jiang Muyao has no fear at all at this moment, only anger. She responded unhappily, "What do you want? You ask for help and still dream of hitting me every day. Are you afraid there's something wrong with you?" The aura trembled again, "I'm sorry." Jiang Muyao took a deep breath and helped her forehead, "What do you want? If you want to regain this body, come in and I'll leave. Maybe she can go back to modern times." "I can't go back, today is my final deadline." "What is the final deadline?" "No need to ask, I know." Jiang Muyao's heart sank, it seemed that the original owner was really dead. Then she said, "Muyao, I want to ask you to help me take care of my younger brothers. Raise them to adulthood, not seeking wealth and status, but only seeking peace and prosperity." Jiang Muyao did not answer. It's not that she had to cross over, so there's no such thing as her stealing the original owner's body. So, she doesn't have any guilt towards the original owner. The younger brothers of the original owner are not her responsibility. Seeing Jiang Muyao not answer, the aura generated even greater fluctuations. Muyao, just as I cannot resurrect, you cannot return to your world. Jiang Muyao sat up suddenly, her voice full of surprise. What do you know? The voice in my mind gave a bitter smile and said, I know everything, past and present lives. I'm too foolish to harm my younger brothers like that for the sake of a man. I don't have the face to see my parents. Muyao, your coming here is a tie between our destiny. I know that I have no right to demand that you help me take care of my younger brother. But I owe them too much. In return, I will give you a gift that will make you worry-free in this era. If possible, could you please help me make that dog man and woman pay the price? Thank you very much. Before Jiang Muyao could respond again, the aura slowly dissipated and finally disappeared completely into the invisible air. Jiang Muyao instinctively reached out to grab it, and finally weakly lowered her hand. She originally wanted to ask why she came here, but it seems like there's no chance. A chill came from behind, and she lay back in bed, unable to fall asleep for a long time. I don't know how long it has been, but she suddenly felt her mind sink, as if something had been added. During the electrocardiogram, she knew that the gift had arrived from the original owner. Concentration of consciousness. Jiang Muyao saw before her that there was an additional interface similar to the homepage of a certain treasure. However, there is a slight difference. In the center, there is a user manual. She raised her hand, opened the envelope, and slowly looked down. After reading it, the resentment towards the last bit of time travel finally disappeared in my heart. Since we can't go back, life still has to continue. No matter where you are, you cannot let yourself down. Now there are golden fingers, and it's hard to justify giving up on oneself. The gift given to oneself by the original owner is called Tao Duoduo Mall, and its function can be understood as a modern shopping app on Taobao. It just has an additional, more user-friendly feature for sale. If Jiang Muyao wants to buy something from the mall, she must first sell the item and get the transaction currency. Moreover, the mall can also be upgraded. Now it is the first level without any threshold, and you can buy and sell things, but there is only one function. When the transaction currency reaches 1000, the second level can store goods. By the same token, when the transaction currency reaches 10,000, the items stored in the third level can be kept fresh, and no matter what, they will never spoil. The transaction currency reaches 100,000 yuan, and the fourth level person can enter. At this level, it is a serious personal space. At the final level, the transaction currency reaches 1 million, and the space can be used for breeding, farming, and animal husbandry. At the final level, Jiang Muyao estimated that it would take a considerable amount of time. Set a small goal for now. You can store things now. In rural areas, she can go up the mountain to pick up something and put it in the space without worrying about others seeing it. It's not that she lacks ambition and prospects, just thinking about a piece of land in front of her. Even if she changes her name and goes out to find a job in a public institution, she must remain low-key in everything. Once it is discovered that her origin is unknown or there is any petty bourgeois behavior, it will be a big trouble for her. On the contrary, such a remote small mountain village, far away from the emperor, is a rare and peaceful place. Even in this difficult era of food and clothing shortage, with the presence of a space mall, it is impossible for life to be poor. As for the three younger brothers of the original owner, as long as they listen and accept the love of the original owner, she will raise them well. If it were just a time travel, Jiang Muyao might not have accepted it so quickly. But since she is wearing a book, she shares the same name and surname as the female supporting character with a tragic ending in the book. Then they are the same person. Ji Wenchuan and Yen Man, the anger accumulated while reading, can now be well vented. With a sneer, Jiang Muyao's attention returned to her Tao Duoduo store. She looked at her account balance and, no surprise, it was 0. After some thought, she stood up and opened the Kong cabinet by the bedside. I searched inside for a while and found a pair of small floral cloth shoes that the original owner had not yet worn. This pair of shoes was made by the original owner herself, with a neat upper and fine stitching, indicating that her needlework is very good. Reaching out to open the sales page, Jiang Muyao fumbled for a few seconds and then clicked the button to put the goods on the shelves. The cloth shoes in hand suddenly disappeared out of thin air, and an additional line of words appeared on the page: a pair of handmade cloth shoes costs 45 yuan. After reading this line of text, Jiang Muyao manually moved it to exit the sales page and go to the shopping page. Upon checking her balance again, she was delighted to find that 40.5 transaction coins had been received. Considering my current era, after 3 years of famine, the most scarce thing for every household is food. Jiang Muyao typed the word rice in the search bar, and below it appeared a variety of rice from various origins. At first glance, it's really no different from a certain treasure. She roughly flipped down and bought a pack of 10-pound rice-flavored tribute for 20.8 trading coins. At the moment she clicked on the payment, a well-packaged bag of rice appeared beside her. According to modern prices, 1 pound is equivalent to 2.8 yuan. That is to say, the currency rules implemented in this Taoduoduo shopping mall are similar to those in modern times. A pair of handmade cloth shoes is sold for 45 yuan because in modern times, nostalgic and retro handicrafts are always more expensive. Even if calculated based on 3 yuan per kilogram of rice, you can buy 15 kilograms. Imagine if she were to go to the black market with a pair of cloth shoes and exchange 15 pounds of rice with someone else now. Before he could finish speaking, he was shoveled out 10 miles into the ground. But her Taoduoduo mall can do it. After 3 minutes of silent laughter, Jiang Muyao slowly calmed down and looked at the rice beside her legs. Tisk, it's not easy to take it out directly. How should I put it away? The key point is that if the space wants to store things, it needs 1,000 transaction coins, and she only has a transaction volume of 45 now. Originally, she just wanted to see how shopping in the mall operates. Chapter 4. Bringing Grain Back. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 5. Decision to stay. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 6. Space upgrade. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 7. Are you too idle? You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 8. Report to Uncle. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 9. Future planning. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 10. Going to dig for fecal. You are listening at novel full.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text.